Hi, Chris. How are you?
Good afternoon, Simon. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everybody that's watching, whether live or in the future on the replay. So I'm glad to be here.
Are you doing well, Chris?
Yeah, busy day as always, but yeah, it's interesting how the technology can connect people on different sides of the planet today. So that's yeah,
Yeah, no,
it's
it's wonderful. I mean, I know but for instance, today instead of us being close to each other, both in sort of London based, I'm out in Cape Town at the moment doing this call. But Chris, what I wanted to talk about today is something that we've been working on for the last couple of months. We've actually been working with a company called Skills to Scale, STS, or their program STS, which is about really scaling people's offerings and finding new audiences. And one of the big things that we've been putting together and working on is what they term and what's known as an irresistible sales offer. And that's something that we've been working on. So if I put up the question, Chris, what is an irresistible sales offer? What's the essence of it?
well, I guess it does what it says on the tin, in that it's an offer that you make to people to sell it to them that they can't refuse because it's so good. Um, Essentially, it does three things. It solves a clear problem that people have got. So it's actually easing a discernible pain point that your potential customers have got. So it's actually making their life easier or more pleasurable. It's got a high perceived value, so that people are, you know, can see the benefit of it straight away. And thirdly, that it's an easy decision for them to make. So you make it really easy by essentially making it, uh, very affordable in terms of the value that you're giving them.
And I guess these elements make it irresistible as such by putting
Well,
those three elements
exactly.
together.
By making it so amazing that it's solving their problem, it's it's perceived as being something that they really need, and also that it's an easy, it's a smooth thing to actually purchase. Then, I mean, essentially, a lot of the time, you might be delivering that kind of thing through a masterclass or some kind of presentation, and you get people on the call and you kind of getting them so enthusiastic about it that by the end you get lots of people signing up, and
So
often
are they the key elements, Chris, then that make it
those are
truly
the key,
irresistible?
those are the key elements well, I guess there are other things that you can bring to bear on it. I mean, you need to understand, if you're selling the offer, then you need to have a really good understanding of your core audience. Who are you selling it to? And that's, once you know that, then you're able to find out whether or not it really does meet the needs of those people. Secondly, that you're very clear about the promise that you're making about how you're going to transform that person's life by them buying your offer. But you're often with these irresistible offers, there's like a number of layers to the offer, which are like different elements of the offer, which you give prices to show people how much value they're getting, um, and also that you're reducing the risk that they might have, and that you're building trust. And also, in those kind of situations, you're putting some kind of time pressure on people as well. So you're saying, you need to take advantage of this offer now because it's going to go up if
I
you,
mean, we're going to come to that part anyway in the questions, aren't we?
yeah, that's right.
Later rather than covering what. Um, so Chris,
Yeah,
I seem to remember when we were doing the early parts of this course with STS that in order to understand our target audience and our irresistible offer as such, they took us right to our business fundamentals about our business.
yeah,
What are our values?
yes,
All of this scope, which I know a lot of programs do to try and get you to understand your mission, your vision, your values, all of these really good things, and then get to understand, well, who is your customer? What is the profile of your customer? What is the persona of your customer? All the
yeah,
sorts of things that we do in Ronnie's actually when we're doing our idea validation work.
They're kind of standard things for lean startup business model canvases, aren't they? So it's kind of if you can put together one of those, then essentially it's the same process for developing an irresistible offer. You need, as you say, you need to understand, all sorts of elements about who you are and also who your core audience is.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The other thing, Chris, that is something that we gave a lot of thought to, which is about balancing price and value, because often what you're actually offering could be of a lot more value, but is it at the right price point? How how do you balance price and value to make the offer feel like it's something that the customer would jump at, making it irresistible as such?
Well, I think one of the things you need to do is to establish that that value and cost are totally different things, and price are totally different things. So the fact that something costs money, if it's sufficiently valuable, then it's a no-brainer. So they're not really linked in that sense. Price, I guess, if you're not aware that you sometimes need to invest in yourself to actually, make the breakthrough, or kind of get the solution that you actually need. You might sometimes be able, need to actually pay for that to actually get the transformation. And essentially, that's what this offer does. I mean, an offer should be transforming the situation you're in to kind of get to the value that you need to, obtain, if you like. And if you're sufficiently motivated to get to that value, then it doesn't really matter what the price is. So, but in principle, I mean, the rule of thumb for these things is that you show people how much something costs and the value of it, and in terms of the price of the offer that you finally make, it's usually about a tenth of the total cost of all the things that you add up in your sort of pyramid offer.
Well, that's I mean, if you're offering something where you can justify the value of it being 10 times more than you're charging,
yes,
then that's pretty irresistible in itself.
Exactly, it's a big motivation factor for people. Sort of, I mean, essentially, what you're doing is you're telling people you're getting all these great things, all this fantastic value, and it's only a tenth of what it would normally cost you. So it's kind of it's like the icing on the cake at the end, if you like, that kind of pushes people over the edge,
And you hit on a really key word actually when you were talking about value and price, which is transformation.
That's right.
I mean, a lot of this is how the offer transforms the customer to get from one place to another, and then the value that could be ascribed to that transformation. I mean, that's yes. I guess quite an important component of it.
I think what you're doing is you're helping people visualize a feeling. So you're saying, if you purchase this thing, we can make you feel, this new thing or this thing that you want to become. So it becomes an emotional decision as much as a logical decision. And if you can get people feeling that you're going to improve their lives, then that's a very motivational thing. Simon, you're muted.
Sorry, I'm on mute. So that's probably a key to most of sort of sales anyway.
Totally,
in that side of things. On the technical side, when we were putting our irresistible offer together and working on it, we had to balance things around our core offer and whether we offer multiple tiers, bonuses or super bonuses. Maybe you could just talk to us a little bit about that process and our thinking behind this.
Well, I think the main thing is to keep things simple on the whole, and to make it very clear and use precise language that people relate to, so that you're not confusing people when you're making your offer. So on the whole, as a rule of thumb, I think maybe one core offer is a good idea, simply because you just want to focus people's attention on one thing. and especially when you're starting out. And if you've got some kind of masterclass thing where it's a virtual presentation or whatever, then you don't want to confuse people at the end, because that then delays their motivation to want
I
to.
mean, we're going to come on to that in the questions further down.
Yeah. So but there may be occasions in more complicated things where different tiers for different price points are appropriate, but that's more. It's probably better to kind of leave those conversations to a discovery call where you can get people on a call and then say, well, we've got these other options that you might like to consider, rather than confusing people in a kind of presentation situation.
So you should have one core offer rather than multiple tiers. Is what you're
core offer. Later on, if people want to kind of negotiate, then you've got something in your back pocket in terms of multiple tiers. So there might be a cheaper offer that people can go for, but they'd only find out about that if they actually pick up the phone or get on a Zoom call and talk to you.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Now, you mentioned earlier about building a sense of urgency. Maybe you could sort of elaborate on that, because that's often, if there's no urgency to make a purchase, there's what's the reason for somebody to do it or not just put it off or forget about it? So that's a skill in itself, I guess, Chris.
Well, I guess what you're doing essentially is you're telling a story, and if you think of it like a movie, you've got the what's the situation you're in at the beginning. What do you need to change to kind of go on a journey that kind of helps you to change or transform the situation you're in. And gradually, as you go through the story, then it gets faster and faster and faster, and you get to this kind of crisis point, which essentially is when you make your offer, and then you put a bit of time pressure on it. And if you think of a James Bond movie, he always diffuses the bomb with a few seconds to go, doesn't he? So it's that kind of thing where you're building an excitement towards this kind of crescendo, and that's another technique for kind of getting people into the right mindset to actually press the button to actually book that discovery call or pay for the offer that you're presenting, that kind of thing. It's just a way of getting people off their couch, really, to make a decision.
One of the big things that we were getting into is about having an event to pitch our offer at. So maybe you could elaborate a little bit on that for us.
Well, I think you need to do some groundwork before you have your event. So you need to actually identify the people who might be likely to want to come to your event, and then you need to do some marketing around that in terms of inviting the right people. And also, you need to know the people you've invited and who's coming. You need to know what the language that they use and the way that they talk to each other and the things that they're expecting somebody to say to them in order to get them interested. So there's a fair amount of preparation that goes into an event. But the event itself is, you need to build trust. You need to show that you're the right people to be running the event. You need to show that you've got some credentials in terms of your experience. Oh, am I?
Yes, your camera's frozen by the looks of it.
You can still hear me.
Carry on.
I haven't fallen asleep, guys. Yeah, so you need to present yourself as the right messengers and the right people with the right experience to be making this particular pitch, and to be in the right place at the right time for solving the people's problems. And essentially, you need to share really good value with people in terms of helping people get to a point where they can see that you are able to deliver a solution for them. Whereas on the other hand, you don't give away the farm, so you don't tell them exactly what to do and sort of like completely, eat your own lunch when it comes to selling them, an offer that you want them to take up, like some kind of program that you're offering them, or a product or a service. You want them to actually buy from you. You don't want them to go away thinking, I don't need these people, So yeah. And also, I think you also need to deal in the call with objections that people might have. So maybe answer some frequently asked questions in terms of, addressing some questions people might have where, they might be things that might go against them actually purchasing the offer. So you're actually, confronting things that are potential reasons for saying no in the call, so that you've dealt with those before you actually ask them to purchase the offer.
Yeah, no, Chris, the other thing, of course, about it is when's the best time to introduce it? Because you could be running a masterclass or a virtual summit. There's different types of events. When would you say is the best time to introduce such an offer?
Well, I think it's a balance. I think on the whole, you can mention. I mean, in the standard way in which a documentary is filmed on TV, for example, you go through the entire documentary, what the content of the documentary, you kind of summarize that in the first couple of minutes. Then you go through the whole program, and then at the end, you've got some kind of section at the end about behind the scenes and how it worked. And in a way, that it's a similar thing with these presentations. You tell people what you're going to do, what you need to achieve during the presentation, the fact that you're going to make an offer at the end, but you don't actually talk about the offer. And then you go into the event where you're actually giving the value, which is showing people that you know what you're talking about and that you're experienced and you've got skills and you've got, plenty to offer them. And then maybe in the last, 20% of the presentation, often these things are about an hour long. Quite often they're 90 minutes long, which I think is pretty, maybe too long, because essentially people get tired. And you need to keep them kind of like still interested at the end of the process. But you also need to spend some time to actually unfurl your offer in a way that builds up this momentum, as we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, that's very interesting in that it's as you say, it's building things up. It's getting the right length of the event and the different types of event and when to introduce it. Now, Chris, let's say you finished your event, if you've been pitching your irresistible offer, what next? There's event follow-ups, people who didn't buy. There's all of these, I guess, opportunities to continue the communication. Any strategies that come to mind on these follow-ups?
Well, I mean, the kind of best thing to do is when you're inviting people to come to your event, it's a good idea to actually get them to sign up for coming to the event through a kind of landing page where you get their email address. So essentially, the first thing they do is they say they're going to come to the event, and then you either accept the, organize a discovery call or buy the offer. And that's a thank you very much kind of email follow-up. And then if they don't, then you're going into a kind of email sequence to kind of remind people about, the kind of things that might be of interest to them, to try and persuade them to make the offer. So for example, I came across a thing which is the 3 Ps. So you've got personalization. So it's like personalized email. So you know these people's names. So you say, in your case, dear Simon, or hi Simon, really glad you came to the event. You haven't made a decision yet, blah, blah, blah. This is why we think it might be of interest to you. You remind them what the problem is. So you're kind of saying you might say, Simon, you came to the event because you were interested in solving this particular problem. If you don't take a decision, then you might have to, you might not be able to get to where you want to get to, that kind of thing. And you remind people that there's a deadline. So you can say, you've only got like 48 hours to make a decision on this. So you're pushing the deadline. You're sort of reminding people that there's a kind of urgency to it. And then even at the end, even if they say no, that they don't want to get in to take up the offer, you don't kick them out completely. You say, well, we understand you're not able to make a decision about purchasing the offer at the moment, but we'd very much like to keep in touch, and maybe we'll revisit this in a year or something. Or do you know what I mean? Where you're kind of, you've got people in your you've got them in your network now, and maybe they can sign up to a newsletter, or maybe you haven't made it clear enough to them that what you're offering is absolutely going to solve their problem. And it might be that those people are sleepers for a bit, and then in 6 months' time they come back and say, "Yeah, we're absolutely ready now," or we've got the money to actually invest in this thing now. You know, there might be all sorts of reasons why people don't buy the offer, and you can't prejudge that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, I guess, once the event's over, you've got a certain segment that take up the offer and some that don't, and you can keep communicating with them. But I guess businesses are doing this and creating these offers and running these events, these masterclasses, these summits, because they want to create sales. They want to generate sales, generate revenue.
Yeah.
What about other strategies or strategies post summit, other strategies to generate reoccurring sales? Because that's the utopia of what businesses want.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the thing is that you've now got their email address. An email is gold in this in a business environment. So you can do things like send them a newsletter, you know, and remind them of all the different things that you're doing, or maybe invite them to other events that you're running, or maybe say to them, "Here's a freebie that we'd like to offer you," and you know, you get them to download something, because all you're doing there is you're establishing and building trust between you and your potential customer. And I think Daniel Priestley talks about what is it, four different pieces of content that you. I can't remember was it the 4-11-7 thing that he talks about. Was it four platforms, 11 occasions that you're actually hitting them with it, and then seven something. I can't remember, but look up Daniel Priestley. Maybe Simon, maybe you'll remember, because I know that you don't remember. Okay, but yeah. Maybe I'll look it up while you're talking next.
Okay, well, no, Chris. What I'm really wanting to do is find out information from you about all of this.
Okay. Well, essentially, all I'm saying is you need to show up on lots of different platforms.
Yeah.
You need to show up multiple times, and you need to build trust with people in multiple ways that you can actually deliver what you say you're going to deliver. That's essentially what I mean.
Okay, wonderful, Chris. Now, we've been working hard on our irresistible sales offer, the 12 Ronnies one, in going through this. Maybe you could outline it to our audience here, what the sorts of things that we've put together, give us an outline that makes our offer irresistible, what the offer is, and what makes it irresistible.
Sure. We've been working on a number of different products and programs over the last 6 months, I'd say. And we came to the realization that what we actually needed was a program to teach us how to sell those products and programs in a way that was clear and compelling for people to purchase at scale. Because we're now able to, well, what we want to do is to explode the membership of 12 Ronnies and the Founders and Mentors program and whatever. And we have these three things that we're offering, which are independent things, but we've realized that what we need to do is to kind of merge them together into a kind of combined offer that is compelling to people. Are a product which is an idea validation report and process that you go through,
which is an area that I sort of specialize in.
Simon specializes in. Then secondly, there's a mentoring aspect to this, which we've got loads of experience in now, nearly 5 years. Well, in fact, five years of experience this month of mentoring people who want to launch businesses to do that more successfully than they would otherwise do. And lastly, to develop a kind of launch plan for people who are absolutely ready to take the plunge to actually sprint towards actually launching a business. And all of those three things, if you see them on a continuum, then at the beginning, you have an idea. You need to find out whether your idea is any good or not, which is where the idea validation comes in. There's a whole pile of mentoring with people who are experienced and successful entrepreneurs in the middle. And at the end, you know what you're doing, but you just need to get it out there. And you need some help to do that. And essentially that's what our offer is. It's a way of combining that in one single offer, which is a kind of multi-storied, multi-layered offer, which is essentially, very simply, getting you from your idea to your launch.
And you mentioned transformation earlier. That
Yeah.
is that the transformation side of it, of getting you from an idea to a launch?
Yeah, that's the transformation. It's like going from a caterpillar to a butterfly, isn't it? So, you start with nothing, and at the end, you've got it's another beginning, if you like, when you're launching a business. But by the time you launch your business, you are confident about your product market fit, that your idea is something customers want, that you've validated your idea, that you've done some work on who your customers are, and you've actually started to reach out to people, you've done loads of testing, you know that there's a market out there for it, and all this kind of thing. So that on day one, when you launch, you ideally should be sending out some purchase orders and invoicing people on day one, so.
And that's the transformation people want. Anybody wanting to start a business wants to start immediately with sales. And what we've also been doing, and I know you've spent a lot of time on, is making sure that we're delivering 10 times the value to the price being charged. So fitting in with the whole procedure, and at some stage we'll be presenting these offers during masterclasses and summits.
That's right. Yeah, that's really the vehicle for delivering these things. I mean, at the moment the reason we were talking about this today is that the stage that we're at the moment is developing this irresistible offer. So we felt that it might be interesting to people out there in the audience to get an idea of what we've been working on and like our work in progress, if you like, as to what we're learning and how we're putting it together in our own context.
Chris, as ever, absolutely fascinating. And I guess for everybody, it's sort of watch this space, and we'll be publicizing our irresistible offer and going through this procedure. But if anybody wants to know more details about putting their offers together, they can contact either myself or Chris, or message 12 Ronnies. Again, we have on our website, if you go to 12ronnies.com, you'll see it scrolling across the bottom. If you press the red button, you can take our quiz, which will inform us and you of where you are in your startup stage. And then we can look at how we can help you put together an irresistible offer.
Yeah, and also while people are here, we've got a minute or two left. If people want to have a more informal chat about anything that you're working on, then there is an opportunity twice a week to speak to me through our Wisdom of Coffee community, which again you can reach via the 12 Ronnies website. If you go into the hub section, you'll find Wisdom of Coffee, and then you can join through the process there. And so there are multiple ways of reaching out to 12 Ronnies, and that's partly what we're doing as well. Is we're throwing out loads of hooks for anybody who engages with expertise. There might be multiple ways in which you do that. It might be videos, it might be audio, it might be podcasts. We've got like this, for example. We have communities, we've got online stuff. There's a load of different ways in which people can engage with 12 Ronnies for the basic idea of getting support in launching your new business to be successful.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much. Very informative session, and look forward to another session next week. So okay. Bye for now.
All right. Bye-bye, Simon.